Wow, I never do that. There we go. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call this council meeting to order and confirm we do have quorum with the exception of Councillor Morrison, who sends his regrets. And I did call the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Councillor Stone, would you mind reading the land acknowledgement, please?
Sure. I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe under the terms of the Robertson-Huron Treaty No. 61 of 1850 and the Williams Treaties of 1923. We commit to acknowledge, learn, educate, create opportunity, honor sacred spaces, and take actions towards real truth and reconciliation in support of our commitment to walking the path together in respect, peace, and harmony for future generations.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stone. With that, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none, we'll just move right along to invited and ceremonial presentations, and indeed we have a few, starting with our long service awards and our theatre volunteers with 20th year anniversary at the Algonquin Theatre. So this is a very exciting moment. We really appreciate you being here. And I have some certificates to hand out. And we've decided I'm going to leave and walk around the table. And Councillor Renwick, are you going to read the names? Do you have the names?
I have the names right here.
Right there.
Your worship.
Okay,
Yes, I do.
I'm leaving this spot, my perch.
Okay. All right. So we are looking at the 20th year anniversary of the Algonquin Theatre. And I would say that most of these volunteers actually started with the Festival of the Arts at Grandview when it first started. So and then they came over to the Algonquin Theatre. And I had the pleasure of working with all of them. So congratulations. So our first winner, or first recipient, she is a winner, is Liz Graham. Liz.
I can give this to you and we can have our picture taken. So you have to turn around. That's great. Thank you very much.
They still know, Nancy, I think they have somebody else coming to take a picture.
Oh, okay. This is Congrats. Good. All right, thank you. All right.
And our next recipient is Laura Koswan. Next, we have Apollonia Pettigrew.
Congrats. That was a horrible handshake on my part. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
And the last recipient is Nancy Samuel.
Hey, Nancy, look up here.
Thank you. Thank you.
There are two recipients who were on, or two other people that were not able to be here this evening, but they may be watching from home. So I would like to mention Fran Gower, Uber volunteer, and also Maria Vanderhout. Yes. Yeah.
I'm afraid you can't have her back. But it's very nice to hear that. All right, so we are going to move to agenda item 4.2, and we do have two guests, Burkhard Mausberg and Ben Jardine from the Muskoka Community Land Trust. And welcome, gentlemen. And they are going to provide an update on the current activities of the MCLT. Welcome.
Microphone, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Burkhard Mausberg. I'm a resident of Huntsville, and for the last 6 months, I served as chair of the Muskoka Community Land Trust Board. Not nearly as long as Nancy or Laura or all the other wonderful volunteers. What I want to do is give you an update on where we're at with the Land Trust. And what I would like to do, if you allow me to, just get me through the presentation and we keep questions towards the end, if that's okay. With me is Ben Jardine. Many of you know him, Best Life Homes, and a longtime volunteer with the Land Trust. The overarching message I want to give you today is that we have an incredible momentum, and we need to keep that momentum. And I'm going to give you 4 examples or 4 directions on how I'm going to talk about that momentum. The first one is the pre-construction work that's underway. The second one is our public engagement and communications. The third one is our evolution as an organization and our governance. And the fourth one, and as the chair always most important, fundraising. So let me start with pre-construction. There is an awful lot of work going on. I'm going to list just some of the studies just to give you a sense of the depth of the work that we're doing. We're doing architectural building and site design, legal boundary survey and topographical survey, traffic and parking studies, stormwater and servicing plan, geotechnical and slope stability studies, accessibility studies, civil, mechanical, and electrical engineering, mass timber structural engineering, initial project financing plans for CMHC. We've engaged Raising the Roof as the development management company. We're doing the environmental impact study. We're doing the cost of owning and building and the Class A Pro Performa. We're doing climate resilience engineering, landscape architecture, energy modeling, and we're working with Lakeland Power on our electrical and communication site servicing. And I probably forgot a few as well. But you see, there's a lot of depth here. The work is going on, and we're moving forward. I will also say that in that list is about $300,000 worth of in-kind or pro bono contributions from a variety of different people. Finally, we have guidance from BC Builds to utilize their BC Build rocket ship system that saves us time and money and reduce our project costs. So we're all in. We're doing the work that's necessary in order to give 179 families a new permanently affordable home. On public engagement and communications, our storytelling is relentless. We've been to a lot of events. You've seen us at Maple Fest in Huntsville. Bracebridge 150 a few weeks ago. We spent both days there. The Home Show, Pride, Winterfest. We have a core of volunteers that are always there, no matter the weather, presenting the idea of the Land Trust and the need for the Land Trust to provide affordable housing. We've been asked to come to Nova Scotia to tell our story to the Canadian Land Trust Summit in September. There's not a lot of land trusts that get invited to tell their story. We're engaging on social media, and across all the platforms, we have about 15,000 engagements in the last 6 months, and that's without any paid ads. That's all organic sharing. We're shooting a number of professional videos to tell our story. And the idea is to tell the stories in sort of short snippets to accommodate our message to the medium. So if it's TikTok, it's 8 seconds. You know, if it's Instagram, it's a little longer. If it's LinkedIn, we tell the whole story. We hired a Georgian College summer student as an event and communication specialist. And we've conducted formal engagement process with the community. What are Muskokans looking for? And finally, we're conducting culturally appropriate engagement with the Indigenous community. We've also engaged in Bracebridge, specifically on the site on the former Memorial Arena site. We presented a fully developed proposal for affordable housing. We did that in partnership with Community Living South Muskoka, YMCA, and Best Life. And now what we learned from that is the next one we'll do, we're going to be even better and quicker. In terms of our evolution of our governance, there's a few changes to report here. We're changing our executive director. Sandy Martin is leaving in the next coming days. And she was the right person at the right time for the job. She did a tremendous job. But at the same time, the trust has evolved. So we're using this opportunity to find the next leader that can take us through construction and then operating the building. We have best-in-class conflict policy that lays out how to deal with conflicts, but we're moving towards a no-conflict management style. That means any board member or staff that has even a perceived conflict cannot either work for us or volunteer for us. What's more, what we're doing, and some of my colleague board members are a little bit annoyed at that, is that we're doing what we call a relations table. Every board member is going to put down who could be a potential conflict. If your cousin is a plumber, put their name down. If your brother-in-law is a drywaller, put their name down. We want to get a sense about what's the possible universe of where you could be conflicted. Fundraising. Now, I worked for an organization called the Small Change Fund, and I've worked in philanthropy all my life, the Greenbelt Foundation, the Ivy Foundation, and I'm one of those weird people that loves fundraising. Because there's nothing more rewarding when you give me your money to say, we trust you. We're going to do good work with your money. So we've had our most successful fundraising efforts in the last 3 months. We received our largest grant ever from FedNor to the tune of $343,000. And FedNor came to us. We didn't come to them. They really liked what we were doing. And they gave us the money for 3 main reasons. Number one is they really want to support permanently affordable green housing. They want to do that through the land trust model, and for them it means deep reductions in environmental impact, particularly as it relates to climate. Second, they want to work with us and the funds they're giving us to adopt principles of integrated project delivery that significantly reduce time and risk, and thereby saving money. And the third, and for them almost the most important, is they want us to record what we're doing and act as a model for other communities. $340,000 is a lot of money to get and to be responsible for. The third thing is our community bond sale is ready. As you may know, we're aiming to raise $2 million with the bonds, and the program was developed and is being delivered with Tapestry Capital. Tapestry selected us. They really liked what we did. They liked our model and the advanced position and the ambitious goals that we have. We also started a membership drive. Now, that's not going to bring in a lot of money, but it's building relationship. I always call, when you have special event and you call them fundraising events, I always call them friend raising, because they really don't raise that much money, but you raise friends. The idea is the same for our membership drive. And finally, we're exploring opportunities such as a triple registration. When you're a charity, you can give tax receipts, but that comes with a whole number of obligations, good ones. Your reporting structure is different, your compliance is different, you can't do certain work. So often what happens is there are parallel organizations. There's a nonprofit, and then there's a triple organization. But even then, you got to be really careful, because the CRA looks about what that relationship is. You can't just funnel money from a charity to a non-charity. They call that money laundering. So we're thinking that through, what that model should look like in order to take advantage of the opportunity of people that want to donate and get a tax receipt for it. So we need some time. So that's the progress. And my theme is, let's keep the momentum. So I'm looking at you, town councilors, to give us a sense about how we can do this conveyance of the land. I know there's some technical issues with a tower. I never really thought about that until I actually looked at the tower. But we're well underway with our pre-construction work. We don't want to lose momentum. We want to do all the studies and have to wait for the land so we can do the financing. We want to begin looking for construction financing, so there's urgency here to keep the momentum. I've talked to the mayor and some other members of council about what conditions do you want to attach to it. Let's have that conversation, right? I can also tell you, because of the work I do, we've also been in contact with the new housing minister and his parliamentary secretary. The current federal government needs some quick wins on housing. They made huge promises and commitments. They need quick wins. We can give them that, right? We're going to be ready, shovel ready in a few months. When we get the land, we can make a good pitch and say, we can be part of your portfolio of success. So help us with financing. So I'm really hoping that, given you don't have a council meeting in August, that we can wrap all this up by July and then start the construction financing. Ben is with me today because he knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. I'm like I'm the figurehead, but he's the real expert. So I brought him with me today. So if you have any questions that go into some of the specifics and the details, he's happy to answer them. That's my presentation, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Burkhard. And really appreciate the two of you being here to give us an update. This is a really important project for all of us around this table. And I suspect there might be a couple of questions. I know I have a couple, but I'm going to turn it over to Council. Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Worship, and thanks for coming. Appreciate you having you here for sure. Love this project, and I like that you want to keep it moving. I think the right direction has been taken with the board and trying to decipher how to navigate moving forward. So fully support this, and I'd gladly become a member and a friend or whatever it takes to help you move it on. I'm a fundraiser too. I love it. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Stone.
Thanks. So I haven't been involved as much as the mayor and others. So you say in a couple months, if we can get our heads around how we're going to convey the land, you're going to then start looking for construction funding.
Correct.
All right. So now the big question is, when is the shovels going in the ground, if possible?
That's
Thank you, Councillor Stone. We're in a great position to start in late 2025, early 2026. Of course, it's fundamentally pending construction financing. Now, Burkhard mentioned looking for financing. The reality is we know where we're going. We've done a lot of preparation work ahead of time, but the very first bullet point on our application is land conveyance. And so that's why it maintains to be our highest priority at this point. Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, we meet with them now on a weekly basis. They are fully up to speed on every aspect of our project. And although we don't have a loan agreement in place yet, pending land conveyance, completely supportive. So they will be the primary funder of the project.
All right. Just a follow-up, if I could, just the servicing, sewer and water. Have you got your head around that giant piece?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Stone. We absolutely have. So we've engaged Pinestone Engineering Limited. They are doing our design and modeling right now. And I had the privilege of meeting with Commissioner Steele, District Engineering and Public Works, just last week. So Commissioner Steele and his team are also fully on board. And we're working together to combine some efficiencies because they have existing infrastructure on the property.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's good news. Deputy Mayor Armour.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, gentlemen. I have a couple questions too. First one, I think I've been here since the start of this. I remember, Ben, you first coming here and giving us a presentation, and you had a design built already and showed the pictures and all this stuff. I think the price tag at that time was like $55 million. Where is that price tag sitting right now? I'm sure it's not $55 million, and especially with green housing initiative too, because that's always a lot more expensive than regular building.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. If anyone happens to have an extra 55 million kicking around, we'd gladly take it. Our early projections were around the $20 million mark. That was before we knew the extent of infrastructure that was required. And so it hiked up to about 25, 26 million. So all said and done right now, our pro forma is sitting around $30 million. That's including HST, that's including a number of repayable loans that may be converted to non-repayable throughout the course of construction.
Follow up?
If I may, just a
Yes,
quick follow-up.
yeah.
So with construction, and if you're, late 25, early 26, are you looking at doing it in the phases and stages and then finishing one building and filling it, occupying it, and then moving on to the next building? Is that the plan to go ahead?
Absolutely, through you, Your Worship. We are phasing the project. So originally we had 5 phases. We've since condensed that to, we believe, 4 phases. And the main reason for that is phase 1 was originally 2 buildings. Given some site constraints and to realize some efficiencies economically, we've taken phase one of 2 buildings and merged it into one larger building. That allows us to save quite a bit of money in services or building related matters that each building on its own would need. And so phase 1 is now 1 building, albeit twice the size that each individual was going to be. And after that's completed, we would like to move on to phase 2 almost immediately.
Okay. I have a quick follow-up that sort of is similar to that, and that, Ricard, you made reference to this ongoing studies that are happening right now as we speak. And so what do you foresee the timing to be as to submitting the application to the town, right? Obviously, that's part of our due diligence as well. So do I ask, should I turn that over to, all right, Ben?
Thank you, Your Worship. We've made great progress with our studies. A majority of the field work is done, and so we're in the reporting stage now. In fact, some of our earlier studies we already have the results for, and they have been submitted to the town of Huntsville in a casual sort of pre-review, that being our environmental impact study and a couple of others. Our goal at this point is by early July, maybe extending to mid-July, that we have a full package of studies, reports, engineering designs that we could submit to Kirsten and the planning department.
That's great. And that includes the planning justification report, the rationale?
Correct. Yes.
It does.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so the full package
The full package.
by early to mid-July.
Correct. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's helpful. That's great. Are there any other questions? Yes, Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Mayor Alcock, and thanks, gentlemen, for the report. I understand the desire to get this moving quickly. It's been quite a process. I guess I just want to make sure that any conveyance of the land has stringent protections in place for the town. And I know we've had conversations about that here. I don't want to be rushed into a conveyance of the land unless we are 100% sure there's ample protections in place. I don't think that process should be rushed, but I understand where you're coming from.
Would you like to comment on that?
May I? Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Clark. Certainly, we recognize and we do agree that these types of donations, if you will, should not be rushed. We are very sensitive to the value of this land donation. And all the way through our designs and our discussions, we've had at top of mind how to ensure that the town's best interests are protected and how your investment is secured. Back in the summertime, last summer, we had a meeting with select town and district staff members, and both the town's lawyer and MCLT's lawyer. And at that time, we put together a draft list of conditions that fundamentally the main purpose was to protect the town's investment. And I won't go into too many details about that now, but the conveyance of the land, in summary, will be a form of non-repayable mortgage. And so there's a list of criteria that MCLT has proposed that we would have to meet and honor. And if we don't at any time through any phase of the project, the land would revert to its original owner, being the town of Huntsville. Still to be vetted by legal. Thank you.
That's really good to know. Councillor Renwick. Aha, see, that's triggered.
No, it hasn't. Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. It's more of a lighter note. Just I found it interesting when you said about anyone that's on the board would have to declare any kind of conflict of interest. But I was just sort of thinking to myself that in a small community like this, it'll be very difficult to find anyone that doesn't have a connection somewhere in the town. So, but I think you're doing your due diligence for sure, and I applaud that. But I am 100% in favor of this project, and I wish you all the best. I think you've done a fabulous job. I was actually just looking at your website as you were speaking, so it's a great website. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Renwick.
Thank you all for that. Just as you probably noticed later on in our agenda, to show our continued commitment, we do have a motion to appoint Councillor Morrison as a board member. And from our perspective, that's really to say, we're committed to this. We want to be part of it. And so I'm really hopeful that that sails through council. And it's an important part, just as the district did appointed a member of council, we'd like to do the same. And from my perspective, I'm incredibly supportive, and this is just one more step to show that. Burkhard, did you?
No, well, thank you for this. And again, you don't have a meeting in August, right?
No.
So whatever we can do with all the caution that we ought to do to have the conveyance in place, because then the next meeting's not until September, we're going to lose some time. So whatever we need to do to accommodate the concerns, we will do.
I think the best thing that we can all work towards for a possible discussion in July is ensuring that we have all of the necessary information before us that would give us the confidence to say, this makes sense, we can do this. You know, I always say ticking the check boxes, right? And if we can do that, and we have all of that information in place, that will be very helpful to a fulsome discussion around this table.
So is there someone on your staff perhaps that we can work with to know that we're not going to miss any
I
of those
always
boxes?
suggest Kirsten Maxwell, who's our Director of Development Services, and you know very well them. So Kirsten has been involved in this since the get-go and incredibly knowledgeable and the person that should be engaged.
Thank you.
All
We
right.
are incredibly grateful for Director Maxwell's time that she's given us so far, and hopefully continued time. So
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Armour.
Thanks, Your Worship. Sorry about that. Something just came to me. I wrote it in my book. You mentioned on Ann Street, the memorial building in Bracebridge, the old arena, right? That they took. Was that put out to an RFP, or were they approach you to put a plan for that? I just wonder where that is in that stage. Like, is our project moving forward before that one would move forward, or are they going to go at the same time? So.
Through you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Armour. We're not really in a position to talk about that. The town of Bracebridge put out an RFP to which MCLT submitted on. We don't have any results, or as far as I know, results haven't been published. So it's not so much our focus. Our focus is strictly with the Huntsville project. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you again for coming in. We really appreciate it. All right, so with that, we are going to move to agenda item 4.3, and we have David Tremblay from our library, who is here to give us an update on the library master plan, and we'll speak to the request that we have a little bit later in the meeting. All right. Yes. Welcome, David.
Yes, thank you all for having me. I'm here to come to speak about the library's master plan RFP. The library board voted unanimously to deviate from budget and pull from reserves to do so. The RFP evaluation committee, which was comprised of town members, community members as well, and library staff members, came to conclusion. Then we reported to the library board on June 6th, and as I said, they voted unanimously to deviate from budget. So we are here with a report that was provided in your package regarding that deviation.
Okay.
That's yeah, it was really
That
quick.
was
I
it.
mean,
That was a quick
if you want me to go to
presentation.
more, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty quick little report. There's not too much details. I mean, if you have any sort of questions that are high level that I can speak to about the RFP itself, for sure. But of course, you know, the fact of RFPs being closed and that kind of thing. Yeah.
But ostensibly, we're here we do have the motion about the budget deviation. So are there any questions from council while we have David here? I don't see any. So thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. That was
All
quick.
right.
Oh,
That-
no, no, you can have it.
no.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, moving right along to approval of minutes, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Schumacher, seconded by Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that the following council meeting minutes be adopted as printed and circulated. Regular meeting, May 26, 2025, special planning meeting, May 28th, 2025, and planning meeting, June 11th, 2025. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that carries. Okay, look at us. We're already moving to reports from committees. So starting with 6.1.1 and the Appeals Committee meeting minutes, April 3rd, 2025. I believe I guess no one, Councillor Stone, did you want to speak to those or no?
Well, the minutes
Speak for
from this
themselves.
meeting was before our last meeting. I don't
Right.
know.
So, okay, I think that was the one you were appointed as chair, is that right? Of the
That's
Appeals
correct.
Committee?
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe that's,
Yeah. And that's not all we did, but
all right.
there was,
Okay. That's good to,
so the
to know.
the taco stop was halted from having particular seating with covers over the seating. So they needed relief in order to basically shade their patrons from the hot sun in that big parking lot overlooking the water. So
Yep.
anyways, it's all good and they're going forward.
That's excellent. That's great. Any questions for Councillor Stone? Okay, seeing none, thank you for that. We'll move to 6.1.2. Councillor Morrison is not here, so there won't be a review, but the minutes were in your package for the Huntsville Municipal Accommodation Tourism Tax Board. So we'll just move past that. 6.1.3, the Huntsville Public Library Board. We do have minutes from May 2nd. Councillor Cluche, anything to note of that?
Nope, that's written.
Okay, as written, all right. We'll move to 6.1.4, the Downtown Huntsville BIA. We do have minutes from May 8th, 2025. Councillor Renwick, anything to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. Just to say that $1,000 was donated from the BIA to the Horticultural Society. And in a sort of special move, they also gave $1,000 to Rotary for all the help and the things that Rotary does for downtown in many occasions. And of course, in true Rotary fashion, they turned around and gave it back to the BIA and bought downtown dollars. So true Rotarians, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's so, I'm so glad you raised that because, you know, you look at all the minutes from the Chamber, the BIA, HMATA Board, Rotary discussions, all of that, and you see that it's almost like circular funding. You know, going from this group to that group, it goes back to that for this project. They all work well together, and that's, I guess, the message. So thank you for saying that.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any questions, so we'll move right along. I have a motion moved by Councillor Stone, seconded by Deputy Mayor Armour. Be it resolved that the General Committee meeting minutes dated May 28, 2025, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as printed and circulated. Comments, questions? All those in favor? That carries. All right, now we are moving to reports from municipal officers, starting with 7.1. Shane Taylor is here with regard to report number OPS 2025-6 regarding fleet purchase of sidewalk machines, and I do have a motion. It has been moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded. Come on up, Shane. Yep. Just because come on down. I know you're not feeling well, so we'll try and make where I possibly.
Thank you.
So I have a motion moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor Cloutier. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to proceed with early procurement of 2 sidewalk machines in 2025 to be funded as follows. One replacement unit cost of $253,000 be funded through the Fleet Capital Reserve, and one net new unit cost of $253,000 be funded $155,000 from development charges, and the remainder of $95,000 through Fleet Capital Reserve, and further that $10,200 be included in the 2027 budget to reflect the increase in operational costs due to the increase in fleet. And with that, over to you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yeah, you basically summed it up for me in a nutshell. Yeah, we are asking for early approval for the 2 machines. The reason we are asking for that is because it's about a 4 to 6 month wait for them. So we figured if we ask for it now, we'll get them for the 2026 winter season. And yeah, instead of asking for it in January 1st, and then we'll be able to use them for 2026 in the fall. So yes, we're asking for 2 of them. One is actually to replace the one that's scheduled for 2026 in the capital, as you mentioned, and then also with the development charge study, we know that one's supposed to be put in place in 2027, but we're asking for it early. Just due to the way the town is growing in itself, we figured as a team that it's best that we implement it now and get the 2 of them ordered. With saying that, we won't necessarily have to go through an RFP for it because I found out earlier this week, or last week, sorry, that through the canoe procurement program that the town has, we'll be able to directly go through them. So we'll just have to basically give them the specs that we wish for, and then we'll be saving some money as well too. I think we save about 5% when it comes to purchasing those. We use them for the fire trucks and then also for the plow trucks as well too. Sorry.
Thank you for that. I was just pointing to.
No, that's
yeah,
fine. I'm
yeah,
just trying to keep track
yeah,
of what's
no,
going on.
I know exactly. Thank you for that. Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Worship, and thanks, Shane, for your report. It's critical that we're proactive with this because we continually have delays in orders for equipment. And even when you order it thinking you're going to get it in 4 to 6 months, we all know from the last 3 years of procurement that sometimes this isn't the case. So the machines are critical. I know that's the thing I get most phone calls on in the winter is roads and then sidewalks. So I think having these machines in place is going to better serve the community and also extend the life of the equipment. So the less time it spends traveling on the roads as to sidewalks, they last longer. So I think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you for that. Councillor Renwick?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Shane, for the report. I guess my question is, and I agree with Councillor Fitzgerald that I'm glad we're doing this in advance because I think we need to be proactive. I guess my question is, and you may not be able to answer this, but I know the second machine was needed because of the increased building that we're doing and the more sidewalks that we have. Do we have an idea of how many additional kilometers of sidewalks we're going to be using or that we have in order to do this, like to use the second machine? What?
Through you, Mayor.
Well, Brandon might know.
Yeah, Brandon's here. I know we had discussed this, and might not be talking for him, but I think we're about 1 or 2 kilometers that more sidewalks that we're going to be developing in the next couple of years. So
I think
more than
I think you're going to be joined by
I think I am too.
Mr. Hall. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you, Worship, and thanks for your question, Councillor Renwick. Shane's correct. Yeah, we do have quite a few pathways and some phases of developments that we're going to be assuming right shortly. And also, one of them is to the one from the development charges is to help us at the north end of Huntsville. It's such a long way to drive out there to do those subdivisions, so we're looking at keeping it closer to that location. Some of the things to think about when we do this stuff and ask for an advance is right now the routes are maxed out under the maintenance terms that we have to follow. So your response time is getting behind. So even though this new one for development charges is due to growth, but it might only be for a 4-hour route, not a full 8 to 10 hour route, but it's in the start of a new route. So this is why we have to ask for them a little bit early. So we're going to try to move them to the north end. So like you said, less running on the roads and stuff like that. But it is 100% for growth.
Okay, thank you. And follow up, Councillor Renwick?
Thank you, Your Worship. And my follow-up would be, sorry, Shane, I thought you said only 1 to 2 kilometers of extra sidewalk, but my follow-up question is, could you guarantee that there'll be no extra staff needed to run these machines? That we'll do it with the staff that we have, correct?
Through your Worship. Yes, we've talked with the team, with Tina, and then we're confident that we will not need any further staff. There's enough staff within to put in there.
Yes, I can.
I'll
see.
sign it.
Okay, look at that. Whoa. All right, I can't remember Deputy Mayor Armour and then Councillor Cloutier.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just a very quick one. I think my question is probably for Julie, though. If we're replacing it using DCs, why aren't we using 100% DCs if it's due to growth? And why are we using reserve money?
Director Mackenzie. She loves answering this question. Look how fast she pulled up the necessary information.
Sorry, now I have to get my eyes to look at it. But when we did it, I don't believe it was 100% growth. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, all right. She's going to do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to Councillor Clucci.
Through you, Chair. We have to remember whenever we're dealing with equipment, equipment isn't built as good as it used to be, as we all know with our cars. It wears out a lot sooner than it should, as we've seen. I've seen a couple of these units that we're replacing, and they're done. Like, I mean, they're done, and our repair bills, you're either going to put it 3 times the cost into repairs than purchasing a new machine and keeping it on the road and keeping it service really. I mean, they don't come here on wants, they come here on needs. And that's what we have to remember when the staff does come here for equipment. It's not just to have shiny new stuff to go up and down the road. It's to have it so that we can service our public.
Appreciate those comments. All right, and that's triggered another one. Councillor Schumacher.
Well, just to that comment, I mean, they then will become part of the asset management plan, correct? And then I believe we probably tried to narrow that down into what an actual year or amount of time a machine is, as opposed to, I think we had estimated like 10 years for something, and now we're realizing it is only 6 or so. Is that correct?
Who would like to answer that one, Shane or Brent?
I'll answer that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we're basically getting the life out of our assets. But again, you have to understand too, I'm going to go back to the facility that we're currently in. When we can't properly wash them and that type of things, that's what's taking the life out of them. So if we get to a proper facility and put all the other shells into place, that's when we're going to start getting the legitimacy out of our equipment and whatnot.
That's an
Thanks for the reminder.
interesting observation, actually. All right, Director Mackenzie, are you? Not yet. Okay, we might, okay, that's a follow-up. Deputy Mayor Armour, is that okay with you? All right. Yes, do you have another follow-up?
While she's looking, if you
may.
don't mind. So we're looking at another 10,200 to be included in the mayor's draft 2027 budget.
Yeah.
Right? Do we anticipate any other operational costs coming up in 27 on top of this? Like going forward in 27? Like a new plow truck that's going to cost more or something? So just if you look at that too. I don't know if somebody can answer that.
I would say, yeah, Shane.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes.
So we're adding $10,000 basically to the 27 budget.
Yes.
With the
Operation.
For operation
right,
side, yep.
Right, on the operation side. So I'm just wondering if anticipating anything else coming forward that we're going to have to add.
So any of the-
operationally in 27.
Because of the purchase of these
No,
two?
just
is it-
because of
Just anything new
anything
coming
new
into the fleet?
else coming up that anticipating.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't look in a crystal ball and tell us that. I know I've reached out to the different manufacturers to update our capital assets. We're within a couple percent as to what we predict, so I can't see anything like astronomical numbers being thrown at us at the moment. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I can really.
Okay. Who knew that there'd be, this one would go on for, Councillor Cluche.
The
We're
price of
doing
plow
this.
trucks aren't changing.
Oh, this
Like
is-
the plow trucks that, well, the 4 because the 2 are so late, but that price is staying the same, right?
100%, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
those prices are changing, just moving forward. Yeah, we can't tell whether or not in 2 years whether or not it's going to be 500,000 or 550,000. But everything that we've got up to this point, yeah, there's not going to be any different cost to them.
Okay. Councillor Stone, oh,
Can I get-
and Director Mackenzie does have an answer.
Go ahead.
So let's go there and then you can follow up.
I apologize for that. So we did have the portion related to growth at 100% in the background study, but we only implemented the DCs at 62% on average over the next 10 years. So that's why we use the 62%, which is the 155,000.
satisfied? All right, perfect. Thank you for that. Councillor Stone?
Thank you. Because it's part of the motion, I'm going to ask the question. It says the mayor's draft 2027 budget. It's
Because-
not instead of the town's.
Because it is, we, even with the strong mayor powers, as we went through the motion delegating back certain powers, but the budget is still the mayor's budget. It is called the mayor's budget. I can institute a process that mirrors exactly the process that we went through before with council. That can be the mayor's process. I'm not explaining it as well as I should, but it still is officially the mayor's budget. So in 2027, it won't necessarily be Mayor Alcock's budget, but it will be Mayor whoever budget, whoever decides to,
All right. So the follow-up question is, how many votes does the mayor need to pass a budget?
None, actually.
None.
None. But again, I'm not sure why we're going down this particular path. At the moment, we're dealing with this, right?
Well, it's
It's a bit of
it's in the
an-
motion, so I just
Yeah, it's a
wanted to know.
bit of it. All right, okay, good. Cross that bridge in 2027. That's what I'd say. Okay, all right, good stuff, and it's important to ask the
Yes, thanks.
person who's contributed.
Thanks, Mayor Alcock. I don't have any questions, so it'll be easy, but just a comment, I'll support the approval for 1. I'm not going to support the approval for 2. So that would be option 2 that I would be willing to approve, but not option 1, which is recommended.
Okay, appreciate that comment. I have read the motion that is before us, so I think with that, CAO Corey, would you like to comment before I call the vote?
Sorry, Your Worship, I do believe that there may need to be an addition with contribution to capital in future years, but I'll ask the treasurer to speak to that.
Okay,
Sorry, I just wanted to mention, we did have it in the capital section of the report. So there would be the operational increase in the levy, but there would also be a capital contribution to account because it's a one net new vehicle. So that was $25,000 in 27.
it's, I think, here, the remainder through, oh no, that's taking out.
Reflect an operational, we need to have the capital.
So why don't we have it? Oh, are you saying then we should have that right now? Do we take a 5-minute break in order to have this added in?
Yeah, we'll have the treasurer just come over quickly and let us know what she'd like to add in the
Okay,
motion.
we're going to take a 5-minute break while we add this additional amendment. Okay, welcome back, everybody who may be watching this meeting. We do now have an amendment to the motion I read before, and I will read it. It is on our screen. It has been moved by Deputy Mayor Armour, seconded by Councillor Cloutier. Be it resolved that the following paragraph be added after. And further that 25,000 be included in the mayor's draft 2027 budget to reflect the increased capital funding annually due to the increase in fleet. So any questions? Councillor Fitzgerald.
If we were going to get a machine in 27 anyway, why I don't understand the need for an additional $25,000 in capital if we were going to get one in 27 anyway.
Is it not just identifying this as part of our budgetary process? Director McKenzie, would you, I think it's just an it was supposed to be in there, as
Yeah,
was
that's
the
correct.
operational
Yeah.
reference. We were supposed to have a capital reference as well, and that's my understanding. It's just,
It's all clear now. Thank
it
you.
is, well, that's good, good. Thank you for that. All right. Are there any other questions about the amendment? I don't see any, so I will call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? And that carries. So I will call the question. Oh, I'm sorry. All those opposed? Yes. Thank you, Councillor Clark. And I will call the question on the main motion as amended. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. And that carries. All right, thank you for a great discussion, and I'm sorry you had to long presentation, especially when you're feeling under the weather. I hope you go home and get better.
Thank you.
Right. Moving along. So the next report, 7.2, is with respect to report number Corp 2025-43, Town of Huntsville 2025 Asset Management Plan. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Stone, seconded by Councillor Renwick. Be it resolved that Council adopt the Town of Huntsville 2025 Asset Management Plan attached to Report Corp 2025-43. Director McKenzie.
Thank you. So at the May meeting, committee provided or approved moving forward with an asset management plan that includes a financing strategy of increasing the annual capital levy contribution by 10% per year. So the asset management plan provided to you today in the agenda includes a strategy and is similar or is the same as the one that was presented at the last meeting. So once this is approved, we'll post it on the town's website and we'll meet the obligations under the OREG 588-17.
Thank you for that introduction. Are there any questions with respect to this? Okay, I don't see any. I will call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Moving right along to 7.3, we have Lauren McDermott with us with respect to report number Corp 2025-44, Huntsville Municipal Accommodation Tax Association Program Continuation. I do have a long motion, and so I'm going to read it before you start, Lauren. I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Armour, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald, whereas in 2019, the town entered into a 3-year municipal accommodation tax pilot project with the Huntsville Municipal Accommodation Tax Association as the assigned destination management marketing organization for the town of Huntsville and the eligible tourism entity for the towns as required by OREG 435-17, transient accommodation tax ending in October 2022. Whereas in 23, the town re-entered into a 2-year pilot project extension with the Huntsville Municipal Accommodation Tax Association ending in December 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that staff be directed to initiate negotiations for the renewal of a two-year agreement ending in December 2027 with HMATA and report back. And further that the negotiations include a review of the percentage breakdown of the net MAT proceeds between HMATA and the town, and further that the municipal accommodation tax budget principles policy be reviewed to enable more strategic utilization of the town's portion of the MAP funds, and proposed amendments be presented to General Committee. Should I read? We do also have a motion to amend. Should I wait? Yes. I'll wait. Over to you, Lauren.
Thank you, through you, your worship. So the 2-year pilot project with Huntsville Municipal Accommodation Tax Association, known as HMATA, the end of term is approaching on December 31st, 2025. So staff are seeking direction to engage in negotiations of an updated agreement for the established program with HMATA as the town's designated tourism entity and the Destination Management Marketing Organization, which is the DMMO. So in addition, a review of how the town utilizes its portion of the MAP funds is also prudent and may help in negotiations of the agreement with HMATA. And as a result, the municipal accommodation tax budget principles policy is also recommended to be reviewed and updated.
Okay, thank you for that. And with that, I will ask Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Lauren, for the report. I think it's a timely manner that we're doing this now because it will end by the end of December. I would like to put forward a motion that somewhere in this motion that the percentage is leading towards a 50-50 split, because I believe at this time it's a 68, no, 68-32. No, 73, what is it? Right, 62-38. See, I can't even keep the number straight in my mind. 50-50 is much nicer. So if we could somewhere put that in there, I'm not saying that it'll actually happen, but I think if I would like to say as council that we could direct you to look at a 50-50 split.
Thank you for that. And I do think we have a motion to reflect that. And as you say, it's with a result closer to a 50-50 split. Are there comments from council with respect to Councillor Renwick's proposal? Deputy Mayor Armour?
I'd second that motion.
Deputy Mayor would second that motion. That's great. There we go. All right, so maybe we will put the motion on the screen. It has been moved by Councillor Renwick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Armour. Be it resolved that the following be added at the end of paragraph 4, with a result closer to a 50-50 split. Are there questions or comments with respect to that? Deputy Mayor Armour?
Not so much a comment. I do have a question about HMATA though, but I don't know if anybody can answer. Do you know how much money they actually have and are spending? I know in the report they talk about what they've done, hired somebody and funded this event, etc. I'm just
But it
wondering
didn't reference the actual total number.
dollar value. Probably nobody has an answer to that.
Is there anybody over there that Director Director Frame?
So through you, Mayor Alcock, that's one of the things we're looking at with our negotiations is summarizing all of the payments that have been made to HMATA to date and what those splits could look like going forward. So when we do, that'll be part of the conversation with HMATA, and we will certainly be bringing back a report with more information to council for approval of the agreement and all of that stuff. So that'll form part of that report.
Okay, that's good.
Excellent. The only reason I bring that up is that I want to see us cripple them if they're providing a lot of money to local events and tourism and bringing lots of people here. But at the same time, I'd like to really have a good conversation with them about the current split.
So what I'm hearing is this is really adding to the conversation. It's not necessarily saying this is our target and we need to meet it. It's saying we'd like to have the conversation and if possible.
So I know HMATA will push back very vigorously on this. And they do some great things with that money. They've also hired some staff, which they need, which doesn't necessarily bring more tourists here. But anyways, there will be pushback from HMATA. And if we are taking more than we presently are, to focus that a little bit more, it seems to be eaten up piece by piece into some things that don't necessarily achieve what it was meant to do. So anyways, I won't go into any depth on that, but I would like to bring it back to focus on what we're spending the money on as well.
I'm going to turn it over to Reba in 1 second, but my interpretation of what we're being asked to do tonight is exactly that, right? We're reviewing it, we're updating it, we're making it permanent, which is making it whole. We have some outstanding things. I do have a little bit of the same concern as Councillor Stone. I understand the idea of moving it in the direction of 50-50, but it will perhaps cause some degree of consternation. And we have, over the course of the last couple of years, developed a fantastic relationship with the board. So I don't, and I'm not saying that this will change everything. I think ostensibly your motion is saying moving it closer. It's providing that direction. And I think it's understood, if I can look at Lauren and Reba, it's understood that that's all we're saying. So it's not a hard set in stone target. Okay, so I'm not going to talk anymore, but I think that's exactly, Councillor Stone, what the intentions are. Would you like to add to that? No, okay. All right. So I have talked enough. I did read the proposed amendment. I will call the question. All those in favor of the proposed amendment? And that carries. So I will call the main motion as amended. All those in favor? And that carries as well. Thank you for the discussion on that. That was great. And thank you, Lauren. All right, so moving, oops, I took the wrong one from you. Okay. So I have to read all of it. If you wouldn't mind putting the next motion up on the screen, then I don't actually have to read all of the bylaws. I have a motion moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Stone. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2025-63 to 2025-74 inclusive be reported and passed this 23rd day of June 2025. And I am not reading all of the proposed bylaws because they are on the screen and they are as they were in our package that was included in our public agenda. So, are there any questions or comments about these bylaws? I don't see any, so I will call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you, everybody. So, we are moving to our first item under new business, which is with respect to the town representative on the Muskoka Community Land Trust. And I made reference to this earlier when Burkhart was here. And so I'm going to read the motion. It has been moved by Councillor Schumacher, seconded by Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that Town of Huntsville Council recommends to Muskoka Community Land Trust that Councillor Scott Morrison be recommended as its representative on the board, and further that the Town of Huntsville bylaw to appoint municipal officials and committees for the 2022 to 2026 term of council be amended to reflect the appointment. Are there any questions about that? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you, everybody. And next item is with respect to the Huntsville Public Library RFP, and I do have a motion moved by Councillor Cloutier, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. Be it resolved that the amount of $25,000 be approved as a budget deviation for the Library Master Plan RFP to be funded from the Library Reserve. Are there questions or comments about this from Council? Okay, I don't see any. All those in favor? And that, thank you, and all those opposed? It carries. Thank you. Okay, and moving right along to item 9.3. The next item is with respect to the Macaulay Robertson Recreation Park approval for public consultation naming of Diamond F. So I have a motion moved by Councillor Schumacher, seconded by Councillor Stone. Whereas the town has received a commemorative naming application from Peter Haynes president of the Muskoka Hornets Baseball Association, to name Diamond F at the Macaulay Robertson Recreation Park to Selkirk Diamond in honor of George Selkirk. And whereas Appendix E, Section 6.4 of the town sponsorship and dedication policy prescribes where an individual is requested to be commemorated, approval shall be obtained from the individual's family. And whereas town staff have been unsuccessful in locating family members. And whereas town staff are aware of an article published by the National Post on August 25th, 2021, referencing his only surviving relative as stating his pleasure at seeing his father-in-law honored through the naming of Diamond F. Now therefore be it resolved that council accepts the National Post article as affirmation of the family's approval and directs staff to proceed with section 6.6.3.4 public consultation. Are there questions about this? I don't see any, so I will call the question. All those in favor? And that carries all the way around. There we go. Thank you. So, the next item, we have a motion. It is regarding 9.4 road salt usage. We have a motion moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor Cloutier. Be it resolved that the Town of Huntsville Council support and endorse resolution number 24-GC-068 from the Town of Bracebridge regarding road salt usage. Would anyone like to speak to this? Councillor Fitzgerald, I think it was in our package, and based on the Bracebridge resolution, it's a very good resolution.
Yeah,
Perhaps you have some comments.
I think it was more to make us aware and to share the support of the resolution. We know that all the watershed meetings that we go to, that this is a real concern moving forward. And if we don't, perhaps we should have done something a while ago. But now we have the opportunity, so let's take advantage of it.
I think you're absolutely right. And the recent findings in the latest report from the Muskoka Watershed Council and other reports from the district are showing that we do have an increase in at least a quarter of our Muskoka lakes, showing that it's not good from a salt perspective.
Just to follow up on that, in a different direction, I think there are probably things that we could do differently, which would limit our input into the lakes. So I know that's something that I was going to discuss with the director in operations at a future date. So.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there questions? Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I guess just a follow-up question to, we can do the resolution, but really what are the steps? And I think you just spoke to that, Councillor Fitzgerald. What are the steps that we and other municipalities are taking to reduce that salt usage?
Yes.
So I think the foundation of the motion is for the ministry to lessen the standards, and so we don't have to use as much salt. That's the initial context of it. And the director could step in and correct me if he wants to add anything, or.
Would the director like to add a little bit to that? The way I interpreted this was also very much an advocacy resolution, right? And just as Councillor Fitzgerald pointed out, it is letting the other levels of government know, especially the ministry, but working on policies that we have been doing for a while, and perhaps the director could contribute a little bit to this.
Through you, Mayor Alcock. The only thing I could add to that is that I've been in this business long enough to know that the salt has to be used. They've tried beet juice, and they've tried all these other products which didn't work at all. So salt is basically the only thing you can use. We can try cutting it down, but I mean, the minimum maintenance and stuff, the road standards, if it's bare pavement, it's got to be bare pavement.
Thank you for that. And I know that on the broader use of salt issue, there is a whole educational piece. It's not just the use on our roads. It is the piece where individuals and property owners use salt, and without recognize, just frankly because they're not, we can do more in saying how much is actually necessary for the purposes that they're using salt, right? So that's another piece of it. Okay. So with that, are there a follow-up? No. I will call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. All right. Okay, we are now to 9.5. And I do have, it's regarding possible council time change, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Stone, seconded by Councillor Cloutier. Be it resolved that council approve the following amendment to the 2022-2026 council and committee calendar adopted by resolution 286-22. Regular council meeting start time, 5:30 p.m. Change to regular council meeting start time to 1 p.m. With that, I would ask Councillor Stone, this is your motion, if you'd like to speak to it.
Thanks very much. So the reasoning behind this, when Scott Aitchison was mayor, he moved the time to 5:30 so that more of the public could attend. And their attendance didn't materialize any more than it was when it was during the day. More to the point, we often have meetings go late into the evening and have closed session that last to 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. And I don't believe anybody makes great decisions after a long day. So I think starting earlier makes sense. I'll also mention that there have been town staff in the past that have preferred to bring motions to council at the very end of the council meeting because they know that council's tired and just wants to get it over with. I know that's a fact. Anyways, so that's an anecdotal point of information to prove that council members do get tired. And starting earlier lets us stay more alert. So that's my reasoning behind it. Now, we don't have a full complement. Councillor Morris is not here. So I'm prepared to defer this to next month if you would choose.
I certainly, I agree that this is the kind of discussion that requires everyone on council to be in attendance. So I think the fact that Councillor Morrison isn't here would be a reason why we should defer it. Having said that, before I read that proposed motion, I wonder if there are any members of council who would like to comment as to when we bring this back for discussion, if there's anything else they'd like to include as part of that discussion. Councillor Schumacher.
Well, bottom line, I'm opposed because, of course, I do work during the day, so the evening time does work better for me. Just a couple of questions around things like, and I chatted with Barb and Tom, they're able to come at 1 o'clock, so I'm happy to see them here all the time, and I love their emails when they give me some feedback, so it's always good to hear from the public that does come. But yes, deputations like we had this evening, those are some of the best and fun things, and we've had, you know, the kids come in and do that. So I guess my question is around those types of situations. Are the deputations then at 1 in the afternoon? And do we give, like, if a parent's bringing their child, do they get 2 weeks notice so that they could take time off of work to attend a meeting? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm finding out the agenda comes out on the Thursday beforehand. Is that when somebody is going to find out that they're coming before council? Those kinds of things. Those are the sort of the questions I would like to know if we're doing 1 o'clock. And because Councillor Stone did bring up staff, I understand. I think it's broader than just the evening meeting. There is, I believe, an attached extra vacation time for senior leadership because of evening meetings and or extra time that they put in. Is that still going to be something we're funding even when we move the meeting to 1 o'clock?
So those are all great questions, and I think that as part of a discussion in July, if we're deferring to July, we'll be all ready with all of those questions, and hopefully staff will work with staff before, so that, you know, perhaps there are a couple of other options that we might consider as well, if we're just a straight time change. That would certainly be my interest, so that we're not narrowing it to one thing. We might look at a couple of possibilities or leave it, whatever. But I think we could be very well prepared for a discussion in July. Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. So I'm not opposed to changing it, but I did ask the question of Councillor Stone, you know, his business plan, why we wanted to change it. And I don't really agree that the fact that it goes into the evening, you know, once a month, that it's going to be late. I don't think that that's really a reason. My opinion is I don't think it's a reason that once a night in a month we can stay up late and make a decision. So the thing that I would suggest that, sorry? Yeah. The other thing I want to say is that there are times when our agendas are extremely long. And I think that in future, depending if it's at 1 o'clock or at 5:30, I think there should be at times, the agenda should be, you know, they are vetted, I believe, but maybe we should say, okay, there's only so many things that can be on, you know, on an agenda. And the other thing I want to say is that if they do continue to stay at 5:30 at night, then have we ever considered having closed session first? If we don't have deputations, could we not have closed session when we're still fresh? We're, you know, it's first thing, and then we can to go on. So just a few comments, and Councillor Cloutier, I'm not quite finished yet, so. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention. No, that was it. Actually, that's it.
So,
Thank you.
so before I go to you, Councillor Cloutier,
Sorry to interrupt, but should we be talking about this? Because we're deferring it till Councillor Morrison's here, so all these other points shouldn't be brought up at this time.
no, I don't think so, because in fact, we're giving direction for the discussion that's coming back in July.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And we haven't called the question on the deferral yet, right?
Okay.
So I think it's fair to say these are the things that, rather than just bring it back in July, looking at the time change, that in fact, when we talk about it in July, I think, for example, Councillor Renwick talked about the creation of our agenda. One of the things we're doing at the district, we're changing, is putting more of our reports in what we call a consent agenda. And so that you do not have, you don't go through and then deal with every item. You lump them together, and you can still raise questions about anything that's in a consent agenda, but it sure speeds it up. So that's the kind of thing that maybe would be part of our discussion in July. And I think it's fair to raise that now. So we're giving direction. But having said that, I am going to go to you because I think you were the seconder of the original motion.
Yes, I was.
So I apologize for that.
Sorry I wasn't interrupting you. I was just trying to get something that, are we supposed to stop or not? Like, the big thing here is we do go very late at night at times. We do get stuck with a very high agenda. I think staff all have children, the one thing to look about, and they have to stay very late. I know it's in their realm of plan that they know they have to, but I still think we can move things back to 1 o'clock, be a little bit more efficient, sign things through. As the people coming for awards and whatever, they all know they're coming. They're going to be here, and if they want to be here, if people want to come and be physically here when meetings are on, they'll be here. Like, and plus also with technology today, you can be anywhere. I was in Prague last year and attended a meeting. So, you know, it's quite viable and possible. And if you said lumping and streamlining would help, but I still think like 1 o'clock in the afternoon is plenty of time. And if we do run late into a 7-hour session like we have on plenty of times, you know, we have time.
Okay, I appreciate that. And before I wrap it up, I think we have provided enough direction unless there are others. Councillor Schumacher, and I don't see any other hands.
Just, I guess, to that, like, and I know Councillor Stone's point is that the public aren't here. They can go online. I get that. But just so you are aware from the accessibility piece, our online platform is not great. and some people aren't here because like our audio things, I think, just recently got fixed. So they've been broken for a month, so people can't use in our chamber, so they're online. So just the feedback I've gotten is don't sit close enough to the mic because I thought we were told we didn't have to. Councillor Cloutier, nobody can hear you at home, just so you know, because you sit far back, you don't get close enough to the mic. So when people hear it at home, they are missing out on half of the conversation. So there are some things like closed captioning for 2027 that, you know, we may have to budget in if this is the route that we're going to go.
And appreciate that. Again, will form part of the discussion in July. But I think we are all trying to make an effort to, we've heard that issue. I know I'm making an effort to speak up and into the mic. But I think some of those issues will be the same, whether it's in the evening or in the afternoon. It still is online.
Yeah, no,
So-
for sure. I'm just saying those that listen to it online at home can't hear it.
Right. Okay. All right. That's useful, all useful information. And let me read the proposed. Oh, it was changed slightly. Okay. So may I read that? All right. I have a motion moved by Councillor Stone, and I do need a seconder. It has, and moved or seconded by Councillor Cloutier. Be it resolved that staff be directed to defer the council time change matter to the next regular council meeting, and for staff to bring back a report that includes the following: procedural options for greater efficiency of meetings, options for combining and or changing meeting times, and review having closed sessions at the beginning of the report and having a cutoff for agenda items. Is that, it's including, it's including the following, and if there are others, I'm sure. Right, thank you. Our clerk is giving me a thumbs up, so there we go. Are there questions regarding that? Yes, Deputy Mayor Armour.
I just want to make a comment. I know that Councillor Stone said about staff bringing reports later in the meeting. So I would hope that wouldn't happen, but
I'm not sure we're basing our decision on that.
yes.
I have to say, we're
my
not
support.
basing it.
It wasn't a
Councillor
current
Stone?
staff member that did that.
So, all right, how about we stop that discussion for the moment, and thank you. Yes, and it has been clarified. Thank you both for that. All right, so I did read the new motion. No, I don't see any more questions or comments, so all those in favor? And that carries. Oh, perfect. Thank you all for that, and we'll have a fulsome discussion when Councillor Morrison is back. Okay, so moving right along to agenda item number 10 under general information. Okay, so Jessica, will you be showing this? We have a 2-second clip, and it's a promotional video called Red Girl Rising Citizen Minutes. And it involves our own Joyce Jonathan Crone. It's a snippet from a 12-minute doc that was created. And why I wanted to show council this is council's been offered to have a private screening of the 12-minute doc. It is brilliant. And it was shown at the International Short Docs Festival in Toronto a month ago, and it received, the number of submissions received to enter into the festival was over 1,000, I think, and this film was selected to present. It focuses on Joyce, but really it focuses on the work that Joyce is doing in our community, with the town of Huntsville, with our own OPP detachment. And it's all about education and truth and reconciliation and making it happen. So the reason why I show it tonight, just the clip at the beginning, is one, to say we can all see the full film either at a private screening or at their gala event in October, where it will be shown, but also to set the backdrop for a letter that was received from the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario after she saw this. And she was truly moved and blown away and made a point of writing to Joyce. So can we show that for like, okay, great. And it will be 2 minutes, if that.
Welcome, listeners. I'm Joyce Jonathan Crone, and this is Station to Nation. We can no longer live in disbelief and complacency. It is our responsibility to unlearn what we were all told. My hope is that people will act on the truth that they learn and to learn from one another, to include and not exclude. Understand who we are. Sago, I am Red Girl Rising. So now you know the truth. And what are you going to do with it? Change the world! One more time, super loud. What are you going to do with it? Change the world!
Sorry, that short doesn't actually do justice to the full doc. It is truly amazing, and it's hard to get through it without a few tears, only because it's really positive, but it reflects so well on Huntsville. You know, Joyce does all of this work, and we're very fortunate to have her in our community, but it also, the OPP and our detachment commander figure prominently in the larger documentary. And, you know, it's received nothing but incredible kudos. As I said, this letter from the Lieutenant Governor, I suspect that there is a possibility she will be at the gala event in October because of her relationship that she's now formed with Joyce and other members of our community. So I just think it's something that we should all be really proud of, because we've all participated in that, and we continue to do so. So that's why I wanted to mention it. And that's it. Councillor Renwick had also had the opportunity to see the full film, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm hoping we will all have that opportunity in the near future. Okay. With that, we're going to move to 10.2, council correspondence. We have set from May 17th to June 13th. And then 10.3, flag raisings. We do have the Muskoka Pride raising July 21st. We're mentioning it now because, of course, this is the last council before that date, and that will be at 11 a.m. in Civic Square. Also included in your package was the District of Muskoka 2024 Lake System Health Water Quality Monitoring Program. A lot of great information in there and a lot of interesting data that affects all of our lakes. It was noted that Penn Lake was highlighted for containing some higher levels than perhaps we would hope for. So it's a good report to look at. And with that, I'll move to 10.5, the District of Muskoka updates, starting with Deputy Mayor Armour. Is there an update on EPW?
Thank you, Worship. Actually, a couple. We had two meetings. First one was on May 26th. It was a electronic meeting, very short, where we approved a $10 million spend on the third phase of Golden Pheasant moving forward. So they're working hard, and it's increasing capacity, and they're doing a great job. Then we met again on June the 18th. We had a couple of oral presentations, one from Phil Harding and the Snowmobile Club in Muskoka, where they're looking at using some district land to build basically a Quonset hut so they can repair their equipment on. Right now, they just have a portable hut. So they're looking into it right now. It's on an old dump site, so they're really concerned about methane gas, et cetera, being in a closed building. We had a long discussion on garbage bag tag pilot program. Muskoka Lakes has really brought this forward, and Georgian Bay for those seasonal residents who feel they do not get the full benefit of yearly pickup and garbage because they live on private roads, etc. So it ended up being deferred to the next month for more information. We brought up the Bernal Road speed limit discussion, and that was also discussed, I believe, at the OPP advisory board. And I guess they're just looking into it right now. So, and that's basically my report. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions? Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm full of questions tonight, thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. I'm very curious to district's response to the Snowmobile Club. I know I've been pursuing some former dump site use in Port Sydney, and seem to be getting a lot of resistance and not a lot of information. So I'm wondering if you can push them a little bit, because there's a lot of sites around that have high value and high usefulness for the communities that have them in their communities, and there are many, as you're aware. So I think there's much more the district can do on this, and I'd like you to try and chase it down for me. Thank you, if you could.
I can definitely do that. I know this particular piece of land is 100 acres. So it's quite large, and so there's probably a lot of opportunity on it. But
just one more follow-up, Your Worship, if I may. The discussion always seems to come from the ministry and how they deal with the methane gas. And well, there's golf courses on dumps in Toronto and other areas, and they vent the gas. And there has been no issues in the 25 years they've been in existence that I'm aware of. So I think maybe just have an open mind about it is what they need to do.
yeah, I agree with you 100%. I know they are going to be looking into it. So hopefully get a fulsome report back after the summer. Just to follow up on that too, Your Worship, I did forget one last minute motion we put forward. It was put forward by Chair Lehman and myself, and it has to do with groups or individuals cleaning up roadways. You used to have to register to the district that you're cleaning a road, so we brought the garbage to the dump. There was no charge, and I guess there's been people just cleaning up sides of the road or picking garbage bags along the road, landing at the landfill site and being charged. So people are rather upset over that, so they're going to open that up for them. So if you actually bring garbage from the side of the road, you're going to have to take your name and number, etc. You'll probably get a follow-up call just to make sure that it is legit, that people just aren't dropping their green garbage bags off they don't want. But that passed unanimously at EPW too.
That's great. That's great. And so there is a process in place that people, if they contact the district and they want to do that, then there's something.
Yeah, you can register with them and say you're cleaning a roadway up.
Yep.
So they know ahead of time.
Yep.
Or if you just happen to be cleaning up an area without registering, you just show up at the landfill site and say that you just cleaned up, say, for example, the corner of Bernal Road.
Yep.
Found this garbage, then they just take your name and number. And
Perfect.
so
That's great.
you won't be any charge, so you'll be able to dispose of the garbage.
Oh, that's
But
good.
they'll be monitoring it to make sure you're not showing up next week with another bag.
Okay, look what's happened now. We have other questions. I think I'll go to Councillor Schumacher first, if I may.
Actually, my question was before that. Just a clarity on the new signs that are up in school zones. Was that the district or was that the school board? And they're like the community zones and fines. I think that's great. There's like 11 across the district area throughout Muskoka that now have those no community signs up, I noticed.
That was a district initiative, and because they're all on district roads, right? So they made it all community safety zones through school zones now. So fines double if you speed through there during certain hours of the day.
And then an off-topic follow-up, sorry. Is there a rumor that we're not to use blue bags at some point going forward for recycling? Have you heard anything? Because I've had some people come forward. They said that the blue bags are disappearing now that we have clear.
Blue bags for recycling, clear bags for garbage.
Yeah,
Nothing changed.
It's still, as far as I've heard, yeah. Okay, last question. Councillor Fitzgerald.
I'm almost forgotten now.
Okay, you only have a second and then,
Oh, yes.
yes. And
We-
speak into your mic because.
We have
you-
several community members that do clean up in their immediate area of their residence, and they go 3 or 4 blocks, concessions. How do they register?
You can just go on the district website.
Yep.
Go under waste management, I believe it is, and there's a place right there to register that. So if you register ahead of time, then it would save a lot of problems than just showing up with a bag.
Perfect. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. That was a great report. All of the questions. Okay, a lot of pressure on Councillor Stone to report on health services.
Yes, very quickly. We got the annual review of paramedic services, and all facets of what they do is going very well. Their calls, the 911 calls, went up over 7% last year. They anticipate that to continue to go up, given that our population's aging and more people are coming to live. So anyways, we're dealing with that very well. Community paramedicine, highly effective in diverting people away from the ERs. We're maxed out right now with our funding, but we're advocating for more because we could do so much better. We authorized the purchase of a nurse call system at the Pines. That's going to be the same system as Fairburn, the new Fairburn. And lastly, we toured the Pines. It's really cool. I was really impressed. And then we sat down with the senior management team, and we talked to the senior management team. One of the questions I asked was, are they going to help our new Fairburn ramp up? Because we're going to be getting 110 new patients, residents, and then all of the staffing that we need. So yes, they absolutely are helping, working in tandem, and we're bringing the two sites together. So the people working at one site will be able to be working at both sites. So all good.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that report. And I, as someone who has been to the Pines on numerous occasions, I agree with you. It is an excellent facility in our, home in our community. And it just gives me great excitement thinking about Fairburn because it's the newer model. And so I'm very glad the committee had that. Other questions of Councillor Stone? I don't see any, so I will move on. As Councillor Morrison is not here, we won't have a report from Finance and Corporate Services, but I had asked Councillor Morrison to do a very quick update from the District Housing Task Force meeting. The reason why I did that, and I can just mention, is our last meeting, there was a real focus on input from our development community, and so there were 2 presentations from 2 developers, and they happened to be from Huntsville, John Morton from Greystone and Chris House from HLD. And they both gave really thoughtful presentations and moved the discussion in that particular context, I think, a long way. There were some contentious moments in the meeting, which was because of, the honesty around some of the issues that were raised. And I think the outcome, though, is there could be continued dialogue that will focus on some of the issues that were raised by our development community. And so I thought it was really important to mention that because I know for some members at the Housing Task Force, they thought it was one of the most informative meetings to date. And so we can credit our development community for that. So that was that. And then on to my updates. I'll try and be really brief. We did have an OPP, Huntsville OPP board meeting, and every time we meet, it gets better and better. We have a small OPP board. It's just Lake and Bays and Huntsville, and we're very familiar with our own detachment. So fortunately, this time we really kind of got into discussion around the District of Muskoka's process for establishing speed limits. And what was neat about their presentation, it wasn't just presenting to District Council, it was to the OPP board. So there clearly is an interface between when we talk about speeding, it's not just let's lower this, it's also looking at what the OPP can do. And so having that at that particular level with citizen members, right, who are very much engaged and have their own experience, such as Fred Landry from Fire Services from Lake of Bays, they bring a whole other perspective. So first time the OPP board, I kind of felt there's real value in having it. So that was that. District Council, the only thing I thought mentioning is we had a fulsome discussion on an approval of official plan amendment in Gravenhurst, but the discussion was all about staff's recommendation to deny this application because it was a continuation of private communal services. So that's why I thought it was important to mention, because there was a debate about whether or not there's a role for private communal services when they're not being serviced by regular town and water sewer lines. And so Council, after a lengthy debate, turned the staff recommendation of denial into an approval as a stopgap measure. So that was kind of interesting, but it does have implications for the town of Huntsville. Finally, CAPS, Community and Planning Services Committee, there were two items I thought of note, and that was our official plan amendment policy was put forward by district staff with respect to our alternate rural residential lot official plan amendment. And district staff were recommending approval based on our town staff recommendation, which was different for, as all councillors will recall, we altered the town staff recommendation. Theirs was for 1 hectare lots and 90-meter frontages. And we had changed that proposal around this table to 1 acre lots with a 60-meter frontage. And there was lengthy discussion around our table, the CAPS table, and it was agreed after lots of debate about the merits of the staff position versus our town council position. And it was agreed that we would move this whole discussion to Committee of the Whole at District at their September meeting, because most members of the CAPS committee understood some of the arguments around environmental concerns and thought that by supporting this request from our council, it had broader implications for all of the district. So it seemed to me the fact that it was deferred to council as a whole was probably not a bad thing, because I'm not sure there was immediate support at the Community Planning Services table. So that was one item. And then I thought it was also important to note that the town of Huntsville's Eagle Ridge official plan amendment that was passed unanimously by our council, you'll recall we had a special council meeting around that, was passed unanimously at CAPS. So that's good news for Huntsville. And that is my report on CAPS. And I think that's it. Are any questions around that? Yes, Councillor Fitzgerald.
I would be curious to what the inquiries were about from an environmental point of view with the smaller lot size.
So the staff at the district really had a fulsome report that supported our own staff report. So it was one of those situations, our staff were saying 1 hectare. So their environmental concern was if you approve a 1 acre lot, there are issues around groundwater. That was in their report. And so we're saying, well, we used to approve 1 acre lots, and we went into the whole discussion around that. But where it received a little bit of traction was we also have our approval of secondary suites, accessory suites in the rural area. So if you're approving the creation of one new 1 acre lot for one dwelling, you're also approving an additional 2 based on our accessory, our secondary suite policy. So immediately for some members and there were other members of council there, they didn't contribute a whole lot, but you could see that they were listening carefully around that, saying it's not just the creation of one new build, but in fact, you're saying 3 new, conceivably. And so the numbers added up. I will say our district chair was very supportive of this council's motion and spoke to it very well. But at the end of the day, the discussion went down that environmental path.
It's interesting. In my mind, the two don't really cross paths. So if that's the case, what we should do is restrict the secondary building on the 1 acre lot. Because we're trying to fix 2 things here. We're trying to fix affordability and we're trying to fix homelessness. So
totally agree.
And people staying in the community and people being able, with the rising costs of living and taxes and everything else, people can subdivide. Maybe their kids can stay, or maybe they can generate a little bit of wealth so they can live comfortably in their final year. So there's so many factors there. So maybe we look at tweaking it a little bit. So that's not an issue.
So your chair of planning council is with you on this, and we've had a discussion that I think we haven't had a chance to talk to staff about it yet, but I think we're totally with you. It does require further discussion by this council, perhaps at our July planning council meeting, so that we're prepared at the district table for the discussion in September. And what that looks like, Councillor Fitzgerald, it might be exactly that. It might be a tweaking, it might be conditions, it might be any of those things, but would you like to add anything? No? Okay, so we have had that.
Yeah.
And Councillor Clark now has his hand up too.
Just to follow up to that.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for entertaining me, Councillor Clark. So yeah, I think it's critical to our growth, affordability, and homelessness plan moving forward. So I think it would be a mistake not to move forward with it.
Very much appreciate that. And Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Mayor Alcock. I'm glad to hear that the district chair supported this council's direction, but I'd just like to comment and say that I find it very frustrating that the district holds so much control over our town and our town policies, and really any council's decisions in general. I find that completely frustrating, to be honest with you.
Believe me, I share that frustration. And on this one, usually, if there is a decision, it's not the first time where council at the district level has been asked to consider a motion that was supported by a lower tier council that is different from the staff recommendation. And I know that this council has supported both Muskoka Lakes, Lake of Bays, and Gravenhurst, actually, just the other day. So when it was the direction of council, not their staff. So I totally hear you and share your frustration. It will be an interesting discussion in September, and believe me, it will be good that we have our discussion in July at Planning Council so that your members of District Council from Huntsville can speak to this with a great deal of strength. Okay, last comment.
I just wanted to say that your report was very good too, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I can hear the groan from Councillor Renwick. Okay. All right. So we're moving along to events and updates, recap of events already held. I wanted to say we had the Mayor's Bike Ride and Gear Up for Kids program on June 12th. It was truly fantastic. We had great turnout, probably 70 riders. And again, we had donations from Rotary, from the Lions in Port Sydney. Special mention to Councillor Fitzgerald for raising it with the Lions. Some of them were there at the event. And we were successful in raising enough for 7 bikes and 7 helmets. And we all feel really great about that. The Strawberry Social was on June 13th, another event at our Active Living Center. It was very well attended, and I know I wasn't the only one who attended. Councillor Renwick and Councillor Stone both attended that. Thank you for doing that. I believe it was really appreciated. I did a little walkabout with people there. Anything you want to add about the social? Nope. Okay. And lastly, National Indigenous Peoples Day was held on June 21st. And again, yes, but I think I spoke at the one where it was expected to have a torrential rainstorm, and just at the time where the event really started revving up, it broke, and the weather was fantastic, truly amazing, and the music was really lucky. The music was excellent, and it was a good event, well attended. So just wanted to say, given we're still in June, which is in Indigenous Peoples Month, I thought that was worth saying. And next month we have the annual traditional powwow in Bracebridge on June 28th and June 29th. I will be attending the June 28th event. And of course, on July 1st, we have our Canada Day celebrations, both at Heritage Place in the morning and in Rivermill Park in the evening. And on July 6th, Ironman 70.3, the Muskoka Triathlon is coming up. Any other events anyone would like to add? Yes, Councillor Fitzgerald.
I think we'd be remiss to mention Canada Day in Port Sydney, where the Lochiel Pipes Band sings us in and pipes us in to celebrate Canada Day at the beach. And the Parks and Rec group has activities planned and cupcakes there as well.
Thank you for that. Councillor Schumacher.
Well, and the Chamber does their Citizen of the Year too, so looking forward to hearing who that is this year. I was at the tail end of the National Indigenous Peoples Day. I think I missed you, Mayor Alcock, but it did start to rain again and people still stayed till the bitter end. We thought we were gonna have to call it, but it ended up being a great day. So Canada Day is the first. Mayor Alcock and I actually, I believe on the 14th of June, attended the Lake Vernon Association AGM. Again, she had to leave early, so I stayed till the end. And one of the things that they are doing this year, so if everybody is out on their boats on Saturday, June 28th, I'm trying to get closer to the mic here. Saturday, June 28th, the 4 lakes have gotten together this year. So Ferry, Mary, Penn, and Vernon are all celebrating. They're calling it Canada Strong and Free, and the idea is for everybody to decorate their dock in a Canada Day fashion. So if anyone's out on their boat, they can travel around and see that people will be having their docks decorated on all of those 4 lakes in our area. And I believe our town dock is also going to be decorated as well. The BIA is doing that in celebration with the 4 lakes. So I thought that was kind of neat if anybody's out on their boat to do that. And then of course, yeah, we do have a lot of events coming up in July. So everybody keep their ears to the ground with Dock Fest and the Medill Church restoration and Nuit Blanche. And yeah.
And the Medill Church restoration is in 2 weeks. I know that's a really cool initiative. I met the president of the Ferry Lake Association. I believe that was their initiative. They're pretty excited by it. So thank you for mentioning that. That's great. All right. So would we like a quick break before we go into closed?
Sure.
Yes. Okay. So Okay, welcome back. After a 15-minute break, we are moving into close. So I do have a motion moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Schumacher. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public, commencing now at 7:46 p.m. for the purpose of considering the following matters pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001. Confidential report OPS-2025-7 consulting services. F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And a trade, secret, or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relation information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. And confidential report OPS-2025-8, multi-use courts. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. All those in favor? And that carries. right, beautiful. Thank you. And we are back. And we do have business arising from closed, starting with a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Armour, seconded by Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that the recommendation contained within confidential report OPS 2025-7 be adopted. Questions or comments? All those in favor? And that carries. And we have another one. Motion moved by Councillor Stone, seconded by Councillor Schumacher. Be it resolved that the recommendation contained within confidential report OPS 2025-8 be adopted. And further that the completion of the courts at Utterson and Conroy be approved for an amount of approximately $150,000 to be funded from the Parks Facilities Reserve. All those in favor? And that carries all the way around. Thank you. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Stone, seconded by Councillor Cluche. Be it resolved that confirmation bylaw 2025-75 be received and passed this 23rd day of June 2025. All those in favor? And that carries. And last but not least, I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Armour, seconded by Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 9:02 p.m. All those in favor? And that carries all the way around too. Thank you, everybody.